I don't know if this is a hot take, but I feel like a lot of budget tech is a lot more fun than the more premium options. In categories like phones or laptops, there are a lot of budget options. A lot of them are probably pretty bad, but every so often there's a special release, and I always find myself excited to see what it can do. To be very clear, I'm not saying something like the MacBook Neo is a better option than the M4 Max MacBook Pro, or that you should even buy the budget option, but I do have a handful of reasons that I want to talk about of why I feel like budget tech is just more exciting. First though, I want to be clear on what I mean by budget, because on its own, it kind of means nothing because it's all relative. When I talk about budget, I'm typically referring to the cheaper premium options. So for iPhones, that would be the 17E. For MacBooks, that would be the MacBook Neo. For Samsung, it wouldn't be the A25, it would be the Galaxy 26 FE. And that's because the FE is a part of the more premium S series lineup, so it's set to promise some of those features. I mean, out of all of the tech I really want to try right now, from cameras to watches to phones, they're all on the budget end of their category. And I have tried tech like the M1 Air, the Intel MacBook, the iPhone 13 mini, which are all more affordable than ever right now. So I think budget isn't always what's just cheap from new lineups, but also what's just cheap currently, which includes tech and even flagship tech from the past. And that brings me to my first main point. With all of these products, you're going into it being totally aware that you're not getting the best of the best. And I think the best analogy here is it's like a backup quarterback. Obviously, he's good enough to be playing in the NFL, but you really don't expect him to do that much other than kind of just hold you over. But if he does do anything good, it is incredibly exciting. While for the starting quarterback, aka the premium tech, you have these higher expectations from the start, so anything good he does is kind of expected, which sometimes for the price you pay is fair. To more directly apply that to tech, if I told you my $4,000 MacBook Pro can edit videos, you would hear crickets. But when people, including myself, are kind of showcasing how well the MacBook Neo can edit videos, even though it's not nearly as good as even a MacBook Air, that's just exciting. Now, again, to be clear, especially if you're using your tech for your job or business or just making money with it, buying the budget option might not be good. In fact, it might be the worst possible choice you can make. Just because something's budget and cheap and cool doesn't mean that you actually have to buy it. Like, even just watching videos, I always find, especially creating them, that talking about budget tech is just a more positive experience. And I think it just has to do with the expectations. For my M4 Max video, I felt really weird having to talk about the cons of it, because I know there's other people that are gonna watch it and think that I'm ungrateful because they would kill to have a laptop like that. But part of my videos is I have to mention everything I notice, good or bad, no matter the price of the device. The battery life on an M4 Max, for how powerful it is compared to other options, is amazing. But it was just that with a slightly cheaper M4 Pro, which is still plenty enough power for me, it drains less battery. And when I mentioned that, I guess I was complaining, but it was just a very niche thing on a relative scale. And that just comes off negative. On the flip side of that, because your expectations are lower going into it, when you have a piece of budget tech that can do anything at all more than advertised, again, it's just so much more fun and exciting to see. And in my opinion, part of the fun of having budget tech is finding all of the workarounds to make it even better. Now, for the third time, if you're strictly business, if you can afford it, buy as much as you can or as much as you need. But there is something just charming about a very janky setup. Like in 2020, this was my video editing station. That's a less than 720p monitor with an, at the time, 8-year-old MacBook that's underpowered, propped up on a whiteboard eraser for better airflow. I think I was using a piece of lined paper for a mouse pad. Never mind my chair. It's a foldable chair with a pillow behind it. I have come a very long way. Like, that was all I could afford at the time though, and I found workarounds and made it happen. As a video creator, actually just as a tech video enjoyer, I like seeing what inherently less capable things are capable of when pushed to the max. One of the more viewed videos on my channel, I took a older, more budget-friendly phone, which is a 5-year-old iPhone 11 at the time, and I did everything from using certain apps, lighting, video editing tricks to bring out the best possible video quality. A video I'm actually working on now is turning a 10-year-old iMac with that beautiful 5K display into just a standard monitor. There's also the $10 to $15 MacBook Neo mod where you basically just put a thermal pad in there and it gives you a 10 to 20% boost in some tests. And I think that transitions perfectly into the next point I want to make, and that's to do with the community. For something like that $10 MacBook Neo mod or tips on how to get better images from your phone's camera, whatever it may be, the community from creators to who I actually think plays a much bigger, more important role, general regular users of the product, are a huge reason why budget tech is interesting. Since it's cheaper, more people have access to it, more people are finding out little things you can do to just make it better. I think a pretty glaring example of this also applies to software. There's the video editing software DaVinci Resolve, which is a very powerful and free software. Lots of people use it and make tutorials, community posts, or just create with it, and then they just share it with the community. And again, that's cool. Finally, a huge point that I think I just have to make here has to do with the price, but more specifically the value. If you can get away with using a slightly cheaper item that's not the best of the best, even if you don't end up keeping it for as long, you'll still be getting your money's worth. Like an iPhone 15 is probably 70% of what an iPhone 17 is, and you can get one brand new for essentially half the cost. So in order to kind of break even, your iPhone 17 will have to last twice as long as your iPhone 15. But for the most part, tech is so good now that if you're just kind of an average user of it, the budget options have plenty of things to take advantage of. All value aside though, buying a budget item is potentially a good way to kind of get a taste of what a company or brand has to offer. Like if you buy an iPhone 17e or even just an older iPhone, whenever you do need to buy another phone, you're probably gonna be a little bit more confident depending on your experience of which brand you're gonna purchase from. And I just think the comparison of new budget tech versus older flagship tech is a really interesting way to just track how tech has evolved through the years. And that is actually a big part of my channel. That's why I like reviewing older tech. That's why I like reviewing newer budget tech. I just find it cool that I'm able to document that and then also just revisit my thoughts on certain tech 6 months or a year down the line. So if that is something that you'd want to see more of, feel free to subscribe, and also just let me know what your favorite kind of budget tech is. For me, I would have to say cameras, even though I think laptops is a close second. But thank you for watching.